Friends, welcome to the fourth lecture of Chapter 9 Traders, Pilgrims, and Kings. Now, here the next topic is the quest of the pilgrims. In the last part, we have seen the spread of Buddhism. Okay, so now here we are going to start the quest of the pilgrims. Let's see what do you mean by pilgrims. So, pilgrims are the men and women who undertake journeys to holy places in order to offer the worship. Okay, they are the people who go to long distances, they travel long distances in order to offer the worships. Okay, yatri, pilgrims means yatri. Now let's start with the topic. As the traders journeyed to distant lands in caravans, previously I told you caravans means the people they moved in groups, and ships, pilgrims often traveled with them. So here the traders, when the traders used to move to distant lands from one place to other for doing the trade, the pilgrims often traveled with them. Now let's begin the next part. The best known of this are the Chinese Buddhist pilgrims. So few names are given over here. These were the people from China who came to India in order to get some of the evidences, or we can say to gather the knowledge about the birth of Gautam Buddha and his life, and all about his meditation and how he spent his life. So one of them was Faxian, who came to the subcontinent about 1600 years ago. Xuanzang, who came up around 1400 years ago, and I King, who came about 50 years after Xuanzang. Okay, so these names you have to keep in mind. They came to visit places associated with the life of Buddha as well as famous monasteries. Monasteries means the vihar, okay, dharmashala type. Now, each of these pilgrim, when they came to India, and they have traveled the places related to Gautam Buddha. So while traveling, and when they came from China to India, they have maintained a record. They have noted down that how was their journey, whether it was dangerous, whether it was easy to come to India, and whatever they saw in the way, whether it was very easy way to come to India. So whatever they have seen, they have noted it down, and when they went back, they took all these belongings with them in China. Okay, each of these pilgrim left an account of his journey. They wrote of the dangers they encounter on their travel, which often took years of the countries and the monasteries that they visited, and their books they carried back with them. Okay, so here whatever they have faced, problems we can say, or easy way, everything was noted down in a book, and they carried them with along with them. Now see, next topic, Faxian. How Faxian returned to China. How he's returned to China? So students, he has started his journey to China from Bengal. Okay, from the Bengal. Now he boarded a ship. The ship which was belonging to some merchants, means already the merchants were there in the ship, and he also joined them. Now they had barely means hardly they traveled for 2 days, and there was a big storm. They were caught in a storm. So what happened, that if there will be too much of heavy luggage in the ship, though, so there will be a chance that the ship may sink. So the merchants started putting their merchandise, whatever the things they had, putting into the sea. So Faxian, whatever belongings he had, like maybe the clothes or food items, everything, he started putting it in the sea, but except the statues of Gautam Buddha which he had collected from India, and also the books. Okay, now then finally he has described the storms in his words, and after 13 days the storm went back. Now how he describes the sea, let's see. The sea itself is a boundless in extent, means when he was inside the sea, caught in the storm, so wherever he saw there was no boundary, they could not see any end, it was boundless. It is impossible to know the east, west, north or south. No direction can be predicted, as they were in the sea. So they moved along with the motion, the movements of the sun, the moons and the stars. Okay, if there is a rainy season like condition, or the clouds, or it is dark, so they had to move along with the direction of the winds. It took him for more than 90 days to reach Java, where he halted for 5 months before boarding another merchant ship that took him to China. So this was the account given by Faxian. Now Xuanzang, who took the land route. He took land route back to China through the northwest and central Asia. He carried back with him the statues of Buddha made of gold, silver, and sandalwood, and over 600 manuscripts loaded on the backs of 20 horses. Manuscripts means here the scripts which were written by hand. Okay, manuscript manually which were written by someone. So in this way he took 600, but out of which 50 were destroyed. So only 550 were left with him. And when he went back to China, he spent all his life in translating those from Sanskrit to the Chinese language, so that the local people living in China could understand. Okay. Now, the famous Nalanda, a unique center of Buddhist learning. Nalanda is the university, the first university. Xuanzang and other pilgrims spent time studying in Nalanda, Bihar, the most famous Buddhist monastery of the period. At that time, it was the most famous of the Buddhist monastery. Okay, this is how it describe it. The teachers are men of the highest ability and talent. They follow the teachings of Buddha in all sincerity. The rules of the monastery are strict and everyone has to follow them. So students, it was not easy. At that time, it was not so easy to enter this university, as only the learned, the scholar people and the knowledgeable people could enter over there. So after going there, they used to hold a discussion, and there was a gatekeeper. Okay, he used to allow only the persons, those who were answering his questions. The questions he asked were very hard. Okay, it was very hard to answer. So out of 10 people, only 2 or 3 could answer it, and 7 or 8 could not answer it. Okay, and the young and the old, they used to cooperate with each other, and mutually they used to help each other. Okay, in this way they have described who has described? Xuanzang has described the Nalanda University. Now the last topic, that is the beginning of the Bhakti, that we will take in the next lecture. Okay.